And welcome back to Sports Today. My name is Shane Reyes and today we are going to be previewing the second bit of action from match day 1 in the UEFA Champions League. Now you'd note for a fact that the first 8 matches that took place on Tuesday night, action-packed, eventful. There were a few upsets. One upset, Chelsea losing to Dinamo Zagreb actually ended up costing Thomas Tuchel his job. So plenty of action from the first night, and if that's anything to go by, I think we can expect an even more action-packed second night because there are, of course, even more bigger clashes, I would say, involving teams with far more history and legacy in European football. So let's actually get down to looking to what the major matches are today and what exactly we can expect to look forward to from these matches. Obviously, before the matches start at 12:30 IST, and there's now 2 matches which start at 10:15 p.m. IST, and the first match from that round, of course, from that time slot, which is going to be taking place, is between Ajax and Rangers. Now, obviously, both teams have taken very different paths to reach the group stages. Remember, Ajax won the Dutch Eredivisie, whereas Rangers actually had to go through the playoffs to get to the European competition. The Giovanni van Bronckhorst coach side have actually looked pretty good in recent times. They've not really missed the man who actually took them to their first league title in a lot of years, Steven Gerrard, the man who broke the Celtic dominance. But Rangers have looked good. However, again, considering the fact this match is being played at the Johan Cruyff Arena in Amsterdam, I'm going to say they're going to have their work cut out for them, Rangers. Ajax, despite the fact that they've actually lost a couple of key players this year to Manchester United, namely Lisandro Martinez and Antony, I'm expecting them to be a strong side. I'm expecting them to compete well at home, and if Rangers can take even a point from here, it'll be a very good result for them. The other match to kick off early in the day, of course, it's Eintracht Frankfurt, who we remember won the UEFA Europa League, and that's why they're in the competition this season, against Sporting Club de Portugal, a club who interestingly were linked to move for Ronaldo this year before that too got ruled out. Now, obviously, both these teams have taken very different paths. Sporting ended up finishing in the league positions in Portugal to make it here. Eintracht, of course, a memorable Champions Europa League victory propels them to Champions League this time around. How well can they cut it? Well, they'd be in front of a raucous home fans. I remember their fans, one of the reasons why they were so newsworthy the last time around during the Europa League encounters, because they would often actually end up, crowding out their away stadiums and ensuring that Eintracht had a good bit of support. Today is a home match for them, so I'm expecting Sporting to actually struggle a little bit because it's going to be a very raucous crowd. They're going to be backing Eintracht Frankfurt very, very, soundly. So I'm expecting again that Sporting might not walk away with anything here. Although again, Champions League can be having a few upsets here or there, so wouldn't be surprised if I'm proved wrong. The biggest match of the night, by the way, for me at least, is this one. It pits 2 European heavyweights, 2 former champions of Europe, Inter Milan and FC Bayern Munich. Now, of course, both teams have had very differing paths in recent times. Inter's last Champions League win came all the way back in 2010 under Jose Mourinho, whereas with Bayern Munich, they won the title back in 2020. So obviously, both clubs are into different phases. Inter Milan, remember, narrowly lost out to winning a second straight Serie A title last year around, and they're not exactly coming into this on back of great form. Remember, they lost the Milan derby to their local rivals AC Milan just this weekend, but they're a strong side, and you would not be, betting against them actually putting on a good fight. However, Bayern Munich too, you can say, they haven't had the greatest of starts, despite the fact that they're actually comfortably on top of the Bundesliga. They have looked a little shaky on occasions. Sometimes the play hasn't looked as smooth as it normally would. So obviously, few things to address for head coach Julian Nagelsmann. But again, Inter Milan versus Bayern Munich, you hear names that big, how could you not be excited? I certainly am. This is going to be the main match that I'm going to be keeping an eye on. But of course, there are other interesting matches that will be taking place as well. There's also going to be Barcelona, remember, who are currently being spearheaded by former Bayern man Robert Lewandowski, who will be taking on FC Viktoria Plzen. Now, I feel really bad for Viktoria Plzen because they are in a group that features Barcelona, Inter Milan and FC Bayern Munich. I mean, talk about being dealt a bad hand in the draw. But such is the luck of the draw, and such is the nature in which the pot system works in the Champions League, is that you can sometimes get mismatches like this. So for Viktoria Plzen, it's going to be a tough task going to the Camp Nou, getting some points. Can they do it? Who knows? But Barca have started the season really, really well. and I would be betting on them getting all 3 points in this match. In fact, I'd be surprised if Viktoria Plzen could even make it to, the Europa League, because remember, the team that finishes third in each group gets relegated to the Europa League. I'd be surprised if Viktoria Plzen can even make it there. But let's see what happens. As I said, you can have some wonderful upsets take place in the Champions League sometimes. The other major match of the day will pit Napoli against Liverpool. Now, this is again one of those matches that I'm very, very interested in seeing. Napoli, a side who have consistently finished in and abouts of the top 4 in the Italian Serie A. Liverpool, you'd remember, were champions of England 2 seasons back and have then finished, they finished second last season. They've started this season on somewhat shaky ground, but again, big European nights is what this team lives for. They have, of course, they also won the Champions League back in 2019. So I'm very interested in how this match goes, because again, Napoli have in recent times been a pretty consistently good side, but they haven't quite been able to make that jump from being a consistently good side to a great side. Will this be the match that actually sets them on that path? We don't know. All I know is I'm going to be very interested to see how this one plays out. Then there's also this an interesting, underrated battle of 2 European consistent heavyweights, even though they don't really have that much glory in terms of European glory to their name. There's Atletico Madrid, FC Porto. Both are sides that you'll consistently see competing in European football, particularly the Champions League. And again, both of these teams are very, very good in terms of, the way they operate. Again, Atletico Madrid have, broke the hegemony of Bayern and of Barca, and Real Madrid in the, in La Liga on 2 separate occasions. Porto, on the other hand, have been one of the strongest sides of Portugal and have gained a very good reputation of being a side that knows how to sell their players well and rebuild squads. So again, 2 very contrasting sides. They will be playing 2 very contrasting styles of football too, but I'm expecting an interesting game, and I'll be very interested to see what happens again, because again, with Atletico, they can be a bit up and down in recent seasons. What template, what Atletico are we going to be seeing here? I would be very curious to see that in itself. So I'm going to be enjoying this match as well. And of course, if you're talking about feisty encounters, you don't really think of Tottenham versus Olympique Marseille as being one of those matches where you go, oh, okay, this is one match where, you're going to be seeing the sparks fly. But one quick talking point about this match is that Olympique de Marseille actually have 2 former Arsenal. They have 2 former Arsenal players, Alexis Sanchez and of course Matteo Gundezi in that team. So can we see some tempers fly, considering they'll be up against the old enemy of Tottenham? Very, very possible. Also, don't forget that whilst Tottenham have been very impressive in the Premier League, their manager Antonio Conte has a bit of a problem when it comes to the Champions League. He's never made it beyond the quarterfinal stage, I think is the stat, and he's generally speaking not had a very good run in European competitions, even though he's the king of winning league titles and domestic cups. Never quite had the same success in the Champions League. He'd be hoping that this is something that he can actually change with this Tottenham side. And there's also an interesting match here between Club Bruges and Bayer Leverkusen. Now, both of these teams, mind you, have some very interesting and contrasting starts to the season. Bruges are currently 3rd in the league table. Bayer Leverkusen stuck in the mid-table. In fact, they're closer to the relegation zone than the other Champions League spots as of now. The interesting battle between these two, although I don't think too many people would be interested, but sometimes it's those matches which, don't quite garner the spotlight or the attention that can be show stealers. So, again, don't be surprised if that happens here. And that's it for this particular round of Champions League matches that we will be looking forward to. Thank you all so much for joining us for this video. Do let us know in the comments below which matches you're excited about the most. And don't forget to shower your love by liking the video, sharing it with your friends, subscribing to the channel if you haven't already, and tapping the bell icon so that you know when it is we go live or upload a new video for you guys. Don't also forget to follow us on Facebook, Instagram and Twitter. And don't forget to download the Sportsbook app for all of the latest updates from not just the Champions League, but the world of football and sports as well. Thanks so much for joining us. Bye-bye for now.